finally, they've released the patch notes for Splatoon 3 9.3. Like, we were expecting to see some patch notes at like the end of February or the start of March, whichever, however you want to call it. But they finally released them, and I mean, there's a couple of things. I haven't actually really looked over it because I literally just woke up and had to do a couple of things. And now I'm actually looking at this for the first time. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and check out what these patch notes have to offer. And yeah, let's get into it. Latest update version 9.3 releasing March the 12th, which is basically today if you live in America, and I guess midnight and like 1 a.m. in like everywhere else in Europe and the UK and all that. So either way, let's get into it. We're starting with the Sploosh-o-matic, the Splattershot Jr, and the Aerospray. With all of these weapons, they've increased the speed of shots by approximately 3% and extended the flight distance. Basically, shot velocity for all of the shorter range weapons, and they actually get 3% more range, which is actually really, really nice. I was actually talking about this the other day, where I was talking about the Sploosh, where I really, really like the Sploosh, especially in previous games, especially in Splatoon 1. And it's always felt like that weapon has, I mean, obviously has like the least amount of range in the game, but it's always felt like in specifically Splatoon 3, didn't have enough range to really reach things like it did before, and had like absolutely no suppression. So I really like this buff. This is a good buff. I don't know how much we're gonna feel of it, but I mean, 3% is still 3%. That's a little bit more range, so that's going to be helpful just to be able to reach things just a little further, so that's good. Moving on to the N-ZAP, we have a movement speed buff. They've increased the movement speed while firing by now about 5% faster. So strafing back and forth with the N-ZAP, it's going to feel a little bit better, so you're going to be, you know, it's going to feel nice. They've also reduced the scatter of shots while on the ground by approximately 5%. What is that referring to? Is the RNG, so it's going to be 5% more accurate, which I'm pretty sure the last patch they did like an accuracy buff for this thing. With this, and specifically the Splattershot as well. So the N-ZAP is just even a little bit more accurate, which is always nice. I think it's not going to matter too much because I think it's, especially because it's the shot velocity specifically with the N-ZAP, it's not as quick as other weapons, so like you're still gonna have to lead shots on that type of stuff, but the movement speed probably is gonna actually like help with that too. So, you know, you can't complain with more accuracy, you know, that type of stuff. So for the Splattershot Nova, they've reduced the scatter of shots while jumping by approximately 33%. So that's actually kind of a cool buff. Like, this is gonna allow the Splattershot Nova to just be able to jump almost all the time, which is actually quite cool. Like, considering that this thing's like, it shoots and it's like a 5-shot kill most of the time. Just being able to be super accurate while jumping is also just like a really nice buff to have. So, I mean, that's pretty good. For the Big Swig Roller, they've slightly expanded vertical swings collision detection with players to make it easier to hit opponents. So the vertical swing is going to basically hit just a little bit more consistently. We don't know how well it's going to hit, but you know, that's something to be tried out. For the Painbrush, they've shortened the interval between continuous swings by approximately 1/30th of a second, which is roughly like 18 frames if I'm not mistaken. I feel like this is going to make the Paintbrush really quick in terms of just being able to swing now, which is, you know, actually always welcome. I mean, I think that's pretty good because I think that's actually one thing that the Paintbrush really struggled with. It's just not being quick enough, but maybe this might actually change things, who knows. For the Mini Splatling, they've reduced the time required to charge fully by approximately 1/20th of a second, which is roughly around 12 frames. So the full charge up is just going to be 12 frames faster, which is always nice. With this change, the time until the first level of charge ends is also reduced by approximately 1/30th of a second, which is another 18 frames. So I guess the in-between charge is now basically 18 frames faster. So interesting, really. Very, very interesting. For the Heavy Splatling, they've increased the firing duration by 11%. Wow, that's huge. That's actually really, really nice for the Heavy Splatling. That's a big W. Same thing with the Mini Splatling too. They've reduced the time required to the fully charge by approximately 20th of a second. And the same thing, of course, 30th of a second. Basically same charge. But the main thing about that is the increased firing duration. Just going to be firing much longer. So that's really, really nice to have for a Heavy Splatling. For the Dapple Dualies, they've increased the speed of shots by approximately 3% and extended the flight distance. So the same as the Sploosh, the Splashdown Jr, and the Aerospray. Basically, all the shorter range weapons are getting a 3% buff and shot velocity buff too. So that's cool. The Splat Dualies, they slightly expanded the collision detection with players of shots fired from normal posture to make it easier to hit opponents. I've seen a buff like this in Splatoon 2 before. I think this was like during like a time when dualies became like somewhat meta or really meta actually. So actually no, this is actually a really nice buff just for just casually running instead of actually having to roll people. So honestly, no, that's good. I think what they do is just like they make the what's it called, the ink attack size, like inside order slightly bigger. So I mean, nah, that's a good buff. That's a good buff. It's gonna make dualies much more consistent. For the recycled Brella, they've slightly expanded the width of spray drops created by shots, and they've also reduced the amount of ink consumed when firing by 14%. So 14% more efficient, which is good. And they've basically given this a painting buff, actually, from what it looks like. They've expanded the width of shots. So yeah, no, this is somewhat of a painting buff. So, I mean, I wonder how much it will paint now, but it's going to be shooting a whole lot more with this weapon. So interesting. What they didn't give a painting buff is the Sniperwriter, which is slightly decreased the width of spray droplets created by shots, which I'm pretty sure they nerfed the Sniperwriter in the last patch, if I'm not mistaken, or the patch before that. Gave it a slight painting nerf, but this one seems like they've given it another painting nerf, which is good. Which is good, because this thing does paint a lot, and I think that's actually one of the majority of people's main gripes about it, or main concerns about it. So it's just going to be a wait and see how this looks. We don't know how it's going to look, but I'm interested to see like the difference between how it paints now and how it paints in the patch coming up. So for the Mint Decavitator, they've lengthened the time required for movement to begin when lunging forward with a charge swipe by approximately 18 frames. Wow. So basically you cannot charge swipe instantly. Well, I guess what felt like was instant, but they're making this much slower than what it was. Like they're making this much slower. I don't know how this is actually going to feel when we get to it. That seems like a lot. Like 18 frames is like, 18 frames is a lot. They've also reduced the width of spray droplets created by the ink wave of horizontal slashes by approximately 12%. So it's, damn, man, they're really like cutting down on the Decavitator. So they're making it slower, and they're also giving it a painting nerf. That's really interesting. Wow. Like I knew this weapon was good, but did it really deserve all this? I'm not too sure. Maybe they felt like the kits were too powerful along with it. I mean, I'm not even really sure. I mean, I don't know how 18 frames is gonna fare, or 18 extra frames is gonna fare with this. Maybe it won't be as noticeable, but I think that's gonna be really noticeable, where it's gonna feel like it's gonna mess a lot of your people's timings up. And I feel like, well, people are just going to have to think a little bit more ahead when using this now. So that's a really interesting change. But either way, we got 3 special changes, so let's check them out. For the Ultra Stamp, they've increased the damage dealt by the explosion at the point of impact when the stamp is thrown in following ways. Increase the damage dealt to opponents near the center of the explosion from 60 to 220. That's a lot of damage. Like, okay, that's a hell of a lot of damage. So the stamp throw is just in general going to be much stronger. Like, just like it's going to be like an actual explosion at this point. I guess it really just I guess it really just depends where someone is standing, but that seems like a lot of damage. I think this is also gonna be good against things like other specials, like I'm thinking like Big Bubbler, just in general, like just throwing a stamp now at a Big Bubbler. Seems like something that might be something that people want to do. They've also increased the damage dealt to opponents further from the center from 30 to 60. That's a huge amount of damage. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a problem, but it's going to be something that you have to now really look for, because before then, well, I guess before this, when someone used to throw an Ultra Stamp, like it would have to be super, super direct if you're actually like going to basically splat someone with it. Now, it's like, if you've taken a little bit of damage, and for whatever reason, someone's throwing an Ultra Stamp, and you've taken already 60 or 70, that thing can basically just kill you, just straight up. Like if you've taken just even like 40 damage, like that's gonna do like, that will take you out. That's actually insane. So like one shot from the Splattershot Pro, or one shot of anything that can do above 40 damage is taking you out. That's insane. I honestly think it might be a little bit of like, people might get annoyed by it just in solo queue, just in general. Maybe competitive might be different, but like solo, I think people are really gonna utilize this a whole lot more. The triple Splashdown, they've increased the radius inked by explosion by approximately 11%. I really don't know why we keep buffing the triple splashdown. Why do we keep doing this? Like, first of all, I still think when they buffed the time for when you went in the air and like you come back down, basically you come back down much quicker. I still don't think that was needed. Now they're increasing the painting radius too, so this thing's gonna be like even better for splat zones as well, or anything just to do with painting. I don't get why they keep buffing it like this. Like if you're gonna buff this, I think you should still allow it so that if you do triple splashdown, you're more in the air for a much longer period of time, because you have 3 things coming down and there's like absolutely no time to actually take any of them out. It's just like you can take out the middle guy and that's it. But even then, the special still goes off because the 2 fists are coming down. So it's just like there's no way to stop it. Like in solo, it's just like, bruh, like this person just clicks and then they go up and then they come down and then they just completely wreck anything in its way. And the explosion radius is huge. It's like, maybe I'm the only person complaining about it, but like I see this as a problem. Like I'm gonna be real. I see this as a problem, and it could be a problem if people actually utilize it more. So either way, we move on. For the Trizooka, for the explosion at the point of impact, reduce the damage dealt to opponents further from the center to 35 damage. So this is basically a revert, if I'm not mistaken. The damage dealt to opponents near the center of the explosion remains at 53. Oh wait, okay, so basically like okay, I understand. So it's not like it's not a revert actually. It's just that if you aren't near the center now, basically someone could take 35 damage. From what this is doing, it's pretty much reducing the chances of people just getting like 2-shot by just splash damage instead of just being hit directly. So I guess that's something good to look for. That's actually really good. This is a really, really good change. They've also shortened the duration by approximately half a second, 30 frames exactly. And when not using equipping the special power-up gear ability, the effects gained from equipping the maximum number of special power-up, it will not be changed. Okay, so when using Trizooka, you want to be using special power-up now. Like, it's kind of like a, unless like you're about to unload all 3 shots just there and then, you want to have a special power-up or a couple subs or a few subs of special power-up to basically negate this, because half a second, 30 frames can be a lot for a special like this. So yeah, just like a few subs of special power-up will basically save that. But either way, we got some special point changes. We got the Octobrush from 200 to 190. We got the N-Parry from 200 to 190. We got the Dualies from 200 to 190. Recycled Brella from 200 to 190. S-Blast from 190 to 200. Actually, I think that's pretty fair. The Sniperwriter as well from 210 to 220. Finally, this thing should have been 220 a long time ago. I'm not gonna lie. And I think actually this hurts the Sniperwriter even more, especially having a painting nerf. So it's not going to be gaining as much special charge as before. So, and also now it takes longer for it to actually get that special. So you can see how the special point nerf and this like the painting buff or painting nerf as well can really change your weapons. It's like they kind of just like tone down both at the same time. So it's just like the thing will not get as special as much as it did before. So no, that's a good change. That's a very good change. I still think it's going to be strong just on the shooting aspect. And obviously it's like on the case of this thing will not die. Like most of the time it just won't die. But like at least it's not painting as much. So like let's just say I guess if you're alone with a Sniperwriter, this thing is not going to be like the thing just going to like, it's not going to just outpaint your entire team if it's like 2 people. So I feel like two people will now be able to actually outpaint this, which is good. But obviously I can't say until I actually see it myself. So but yeah, apart from that, some Splatfest changes. They, you guys can read this. I'll put this in the description below. Basically changed some stuff with the tricolor stages and all type of stuff. So, and they had a couple of bug fixes, which you can also read up. But I don't think I need to say it here. So you guys can read it up. It's all in the description. But either way, my conclusion of what I think about this patch, this is a really interesting one. I think it's gonna actually, hoping the Sniperwriter is I guess nerfed in a way where it's like not the most dependable backline weapon, especially for competitive. I think this is a good patch. I think this is a good patch because obviously we have to try it and just see like how other backline weapons are actually going to be able to fare going against a comp that has a Sniperwriter. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really interested to see like how the heavy Splatling performs now with the increased firing duration. Maybe it might not do much, but the reduced I guess charge fully approximate time, that's actually a really, really good change. That's actually going to make the heavy Splatling just in general just a lot faster. And someone like me, I vibe with the heavy Splatling heavy. I'm just saying, I vibe with it heavy. No pun intended, but I'm a big fan of it. But you know, I'm looking forward to that. We'll have to see how things go. Decav just kind of got like destroyed. I'm not too sure how well it's gonna fare in this patch, but really, really interesting. And all the shorter range weapons having like much like more consistent range and damage as well. I mean, that's all really, really nice. So yeah, things are about to get interesting, guys. Things are about to get interesting in Splatoon 3. I'm interested to know what you guys specifically think in the comment section below. Do you think this is a good patch? Do you think any of the weapons needed more? Where is our H3 buff? Where is the H3 buff? I've been waiting for this for 4-5 patches now, dude. Where is my H3 buff? Can we please buff the H3 in some way? Like, please, just a little bit of shot velocity, a little bit of, like, give the efficiency back, make it paint better, like something. Give the H3 something, man, because it's like, the thing that ruined the H3 in Splatoon 2 is just that they increased the damage. Well, no, they didn't increase the damage, but they literally just gave it main power up, so people just started doing two-shotting people, which is stupid. Just don't bring back main power. That's your fault, Splatoon devs. But either way, bring back the H3. Would really appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy the patches that come through, and I'll see you guys in a future video. All right, see ya.